Something I didn't mention during my discussion on the scientific method is the importance of variables in your experimental process. And it's probably good I didn't include it in yesterday's discussion because it kind of deserves its own standalone video. You know, the variables are very, very important to your outcome of your experiment. And this is something that's going to be really important as we get into our discussion about the Carolina Bays, because you know, it's the variables that matter, and oftentimes they're ignored. And so I want to make sure that I spend a few minutes right now discussing what the variables are in any kind of scientific process. So the example that we were using, you know, just a general everyday example of using the scientific method, was waking up in the morning, you're hungry, that's your problem. You've stated your problem. I'm hungry. What am I going to find to eat? You go through that research process trying to figure out what you have in the house or what's on the way to school or whatever. That's all part of the research aspect of the scientific method. And then you're going to form a hypothesis based on the research that you did. Now, in our experiment, we decided to eat that dry shredded wheat, and in order to test that hypothesis, we do have to eat it and then go on about our day. Now, this is where the variables become very important, because we're actually going through our experiment right now, and a variable is anything that can change the outcome of our experiment. Now, I mean, the main variable we're testing was the shredded wheat, you know, and so we're going to eat that. But there are all kinds of other factors, there are all kinds of other variables that can determine what my conclusion is going to be at the end. You know, that could be, you know, did I have a huge supper for dinner last night? Am I even that hungry this morning? It could be, you know, what am I going to have for lunch later on? Do I want to eat a big breakfast? Do I want to eat light? You know, there's all kinds of little things that kind of play a part of how my experiment is going to go, and how that's going to apply to my hypothesis that I'm testing. Now, later on, when we get into some of this Carolina Bay discussion, I want you to keep these kind of things in the back of your mind. You know, just that whole scientific process. You know, are the variables being accounted for? And we'll kind of come back to this, you know, as we go through it. But again, I want to go ahead and touch on these topics first, and I did that at the summit. So I just want to make sure I did it here in this little video series. Okay, so when we come back, we will be discussing Carolina Bays. We'll be talking about what they are and where we find them and all that kind of good stuff. But I also want to have your opinion real quick. I'm trying to figure out the format and the way that I want these videos to look. I'm not sure I'm a big fan of that green screen that I was using. This one seems okay. If you guys have any opinions, drop them in the comments. If you have any suggestions, drop those in the comments as well. I'm wide open. I'm using the TikTok platform to make these, and I'm sharing them in other places, but I'm wide open. So if you have suggestions, let me know. And yep, we'll be back in a little bit, and we'll get into those Carolina Bays.